Hello, pals! In this episode, we talked to Renee Merkle, founder of The Light Heals. She is a trance channel, a quantum mentor, and a new earth leader. She's real cool. This is part one of a multi-part series.
Sure is.
I am Lauren Leon.
And I am Frank.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition, and this is episode 56 of Clairvoyaging.
To the moon!
Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
Let's do it!
Hey, guys!
We're going for it today.
We're doing it.
Ooh, we are doing
we're
it.
Living for it right now. What an episode we have for you.
We're coming in hot. You're not ready. I'm not ready.
The pan's hot. The skillet is sizzling.
It's skeleton.
And we are also sizzly.
No, we're hot.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good morning.
Afternoon. All of those.
In that order.
Yeah. We've got a good one, but first, Frank, we got a little Buy Me a Coffee member.
Really?
Effie joined us on Buy Me a Coffee. Welcome.
Oh. She got the button right.
I did it.
Amazing.
I did it.
Effie, thank you so much. It's so nice.
We're happy to have you here. And also, for the Buy Me a Coffee members, send us an email and I will send you a promo pack.
That's right. We have stuff to give you.
We got stuff.
And you don't just need to become a member to do that or to give us a thing. You know what you could do is you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a review.
You can't on Spotify, but on Apple Podcasts.
You can oh, that's right. We don't get notified on Spotify.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If they do it, hey, go leave a comment on any Spotify episode, send a screenshot and be like, these two are the best. And, and we're going to give you some things. Yeah.
Send us an email, clairvoyagingpodcast@gmail.com, and we will send it away. We've got some fun stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Also, I have a little news, guys. We are starting to fundraise for a documentary, a clairvoyaging documentary.
The meetings are underway.
Yeah.
The people are lined up.
The discussions are happening. So we got a 501c3 status through a company called Fractured Atlas. And that means that your donation is tax deductible. Guys, it's the end of the year. And sometimes getting your funds out the door means you have less taxable income. That's a little fun fact for you.
Really interesting, Lauren. I did not expect such a shill. And yet, I'm appreciative of this one because it's going to something good.
I'm just trying to tell people that if they're like, oh, I made too much money this year, I got to put it somewhere.
The classic problem.
Give it to...
Lauren could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman wearing white gloves. That's from Tommy Boy.
What?
Have you not heard that one?
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
But could I? Am I a salesperson?
You just did.
Okay. Thank you for the...
Look at her.
Thank you for pumping me up.
She's glowing. Confidence.
Sales manager of the year. So I can sell things that I'm passionate about, and I'm really excited about this documentary.
Samesies.
We're going to put a link to our fundraising page in the show notes. So hop on over there if you want to make a tax deductible donation to the Clairvoyaging documentary.
Let me make one more note here that's not on our list of notes, but we are also going to be coming out probably in the next couple of weeks with an updated Clairvoyaging website.
Yes.
It's going to be more of a resource for people who need that for themselves or for their children, and age-appropriate content. We want to be able to guide the way for a new generation of intuitive people. So coming up soon.
People.
Yeah.
Awakened souls. So yeah, some fun things to look forward to.
It's not ready yet, but it'll be ready soon.
And so this is just more content to come, including a large bit of content in the form of documentary.
Yeah. The first of many, I believe.
Yeah.
But don't quote me.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know.
Let's move on.
Thank you for being here with us. And with that, let's get into the Renny conversation.
We got to talk about Renny.
Yeah. She's the real deal. She's very cool.
Team Voyagers. This is our first dip of the toe into the alien conversation, which now that I think about it is quite timely with what's going on in New Jersey and all that stuff. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Maybe that statement won't age well, but this conversation we had will. It's very cool. If you've ever been curious about starseeds, or if you've heard the Galactic Federation as a term, stay tuned, because this is the one. And I just want to point out, if you've ever been like very skeptical of these things, so have I. It sounds like it's straight out of Star Trek. It doesn't sound believable at first. I honestly, like, it all sounds really great, and then you throw in like the term Galactic Federation, and I'm like, okay, stop. But you know what? I'm a convert, and Renny did it for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal, and it makes a lot of sense. So, dudes, jump in. This is going to be a lot of fun. It is split into, as of now, 2 episodes, and I think we might have a 3rd episode coming out where we are actually going to do a channeling.
Renny said she'd love to share and channel a message. So that would be part 3.
That would be part 3.
So
it's on the books. We haven't done it yet, but it's probably going to be, these all are probably going to be released consecutively.
Yeah.
So
Buckle
here we
up.
go. It's going to be good.
All right. Send it away.
Again, to the moon.
It's a rocket. Renny, thank you so much for joining us on Clairvoyaging. I'm so thrilled to meet you and to hear your story. And so is Frank. We're excited.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice to meet you both, and so excited that we have been connected, and looking forward to this.
Yay. We love to start from the beginning, which is always, It's always a big one.
It's a great place to start, though.
Yeah. We like to know, how did you start doing? You are a trance channel and a psychic medium, and you connect.
And a quantum healer.
And a quantum healer.
healer.
Okay. I'm so pumped right now. How did you start doing this?
I have always had my spiritual gifts wide open. And so as a child, I was always communicating with spirit. I used to think that putting myself completely underneath my blanket, head to toe, holding my stuffed animals was going to make it where they couldn't see me.
Yep.
I was terrified to sleep in my own room. I slept in the living room on the couch. It was just always, because I didn't understand. Nobody was there telling me, oh, by the way, this is what's going on. Even though my mom was a psychic medium, she didn't take the time to tell me, like, okay, this is what's going on, and this is what to expect. My mom didn't tell me about this until after she passed away, and came back and talked to me all about it in the middle of the night one night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was like, well, thanks. I really could have used this information growing up.
Yeah. That would have been helpful.
Yeah, it would have been very helpful.
That's so cool, though. Wait, how old were you when that happened, when she came to you in your dream?
She passed when I was 19, and about 6 months, I was probably still 19 when she came through and let me know.
Wow.
She would push my shoulder, because I always slept on my side. She'd push my shoulder, and, you kind of go have your shoulder move without you doing anything. You're kind of like, what's that? And then, after a couple of times of doing that, she pulled my blanket a little bit. And I was like, oh no, what's that? And then she moved my blanket like fully, just like off my shoulder, so that it would really get my attention.
Yeah.
And she used to sit behind my knees, like if I were in a fetal position, and she would pat my hip, and then I could feel the impression in the bed and her hand on my hip.
Oh,
and
so sweet.
then she, you know, being a medium, communication is telepathic. So we had a telepathic conversation about how she was a psychic medium and how I had the gift. And growing up, she always told me I had magic fingers, and I, never really paid attention to it, but she was speaking to my healing abilities. And on my mom's side of the family, we're Cherokee and Pawnee, and the psychic mediumship comes through the Pawnee line. So my grandma's side of the family.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information to get.
Man, the only time anyone pushes my shoulder is when Lauren pushes my shoulder to get me to stop snoring.
Yeah, roll over.
Yours is much more interesting.
And so much more loving, I'm sure. That's so sweet, though.
So what happened from there? You're 19 and now you are having a psychic experience with your mom.
So, and go back a little bit just because there's a lot that happened as a child.
Yeah.
So I would have all these experiences as a kid, and I wasn't sure what exactly was happening. So, like at probably age 10 or 11, my friends and I thought it would be fun to get a Ouija board.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. The little thing that moves around started moving around by itself when we were asking questions, because I'm a medium. And so whoever was trying to communicate with us, we vowed never to use one again. I don't recommend them for anybody. So if you're listening, don't
do it. Don't do it.
I think we've put out that warning a few times.
Yeah.
You don't know who or what you're communicating with through that.
Yeah.
There were other times where at a friend's birthday party, it was a sleepover, and they wanted to play Bloody Mary.
Oh no.
And sent us into the bathroom one by one. Well, I was doing it and somebody appeared in the mirror and freaked me out, and I ran home. Thankfully, she was only like a couple houses up from my house.
Yeah.
But, I was completely terrified. And then there was another, there had been somebody who had passed a few houses down from us, that I could see the whole situation happening. And this person had passed long before I came into this world. So I was seeing it like a hologram of the whole. It was somebody else took them out. Yeah. And I could see that all playing out. This was all around the same age. So if you could imagine being around 10 years old and all of these things happening, you'd be pretty terrified.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was saying, if my mom would have told me this stuff ahead of time, I could have learned how to do spiritual protections and all of that kind of stuff.
You were in a Stephen King novel.
A little bit.
I mean, just like
those are
having all those things happen all in the same time frame is wild.
Yeah. And then, I had a twin brother. He passed when we were 10 days old, and he's always been with me as one of my guides.
Wow.
And so I was always communicating with him as well. Mm-hmm. And I would know things before they happened. So there were multiple, just kind of traumatic events that happened as a child. Mm-hmm. And I would know that they were coming before they happened. And so having my brother, having the gifts were beneficial to know these things before they happened. So then when my mom came through, it kind of explained everything to me, like, oh, when I was a kid, or teenager, I was looking at the astrology. I was all into the horoscopes, got tarot cards, all of those things. And I didn't know why I was drawn to all of this. It was just like something it was, obviously my soul knew these things, but I didn't know it as a kid. And so my mom told me after she passed, and then she was one of my guides for a bit after she had passed. And when I was about 25, my mom guided me to a little religious shop with somebody who was a psychic medium. It was kind of like my mom handpicked somebody to be a mentor for me.
Wow.
And so I learned a lot of things. I started working with the saints. I started to learn how to do limpias with holy water and carnations, and it basically a spiritual cleansing. And I would do healings and readings for people in this little shop. And then it was kind of like I got pushed out of the nest, and I kept going, kept, opening my gifts, utilizing them. And then it wasn't until about 20, it was the New Year's Eve of 2014, so 2013 into 2014. I told my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, I said, I'm going to have my own spiritual business. And he's like, okay, great. Not thinking I would actually go through with it.
Yeah.
I had graduated with my degree in psychology, and I was going to go do, I was going to go get my PsyD so I could be a clinical psychologist. And the universe was like, no,
Nah.
you're going to be restricted in that role, and you have a bigger impact to make. So it took me until 2018 to really start stepping into working with my gifts. And then I was working in corporate accounting, and absolutely amazing company I worked for. Like, would be people's dream jobs. And they're just amazing. Best company I've ever worked for. Well, Spirit had been trying to tell me to get on my path and stop trying to be in corporate because that's not where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And I strained my back. And then a few months later, I had a stress fracture in my lumbar. And then a few months later, I slipped a disc in my lumbar, so much so that I couldn't get out of bed for a whole day. Like, I couldn't breathe without pain going throughout my entire body. I couldn't walk. I literally couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah. Frank has had that experience before. It's awful.
It is awful. Yeah. So first, leading up to that, I was having a hard time because, moving and bending and all of that was really difficult. And then that incident happened. It was kind of like my team saying, okay, are you done now?
Yeah.
Have you had enough?
Yeah.
And of course I was like, oh, I could keep doing this. And it took me another, so that flare up happened in August of 2021. I had already started my business, but I was doing both, corporate and helping other people. So in December of 2021, I put in my notice with corporate, and I said, I basically told them I can either work part-time or I have to step down. I just can't do this. It's, the definition of insanity, where I'm breaking my back every day working and then recovering over the weekend just to come back and break my back again.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, we don't have any part-time positions. And so I did step down. And it was really hard for me to let go of the stable, secure job and trust the universe that they were going to still support me, because having that corporate position, that's very 3D energy. And my team was asking me to step into 5D consciousness at that time. And so I did. And the universe has caught me every step of the way. Has it been a smooth ride? No, but there's so much freedom in my being in my soul mission, rather than trying to fit into what society says we're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to school, and then you're supposed to get married and have what is it, 3.2 kids, and you're supposed to have 2 dogs, a cat, and, a hamster or something. It's just not how I am meant to operate. And so I did my first paid reading at a fair in, it was actually Leap Day of 2020.
Wow.
And then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And everything went online. And then when I first started out, I started with Renny's intuitive healing because I was going to be at the fair and I didn't know what else to call it. And then in 2021, at the end of 2020, I created the Light Heals and I launched it in February of 2021. And so it has been a journey. And then every step of the way, I've just gotten obliterated. So I did go into a whole bunch of healing classes. I sat in healing classes for about 2.5 years because I really feel that it's important to be a clear channel when you're helping other people.
Right.
And so I went through and I did a whole bunch of healing that I didn't even realize that I had to do.
Yep.
But I did.
We know it well.
I still continue to do my healing. But I felt it was really important to do that before I stepped into this. And, every step of the way, through the healing, my channel opened even more. And I had already been a trance medium. I used to trance channel people's loved ones back when I used to work at that shop back in 2005. And I kind of shut it down because I had an experience where this woman that I did not know came through and she was literally having me do African dancing. And I didn't know how to get her out. Luckily, somebody was there to assist me. But from that experience, I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Whoa. I haven't heard of someone not being able to. That would be my fear of trying to be a trance channel. How do I get them out now that I'm done?
This was also before I understood how to work with it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I can do it. Okay, let's do it. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should learn some more about this before I let people come in.
Right.
Because I would trance channel my mom and my brother and then for other people's loved ones, and it was fine. But that experience, I was like, maybe I shouldn't do that. Now I can do it, no problem. But back then, it was this is why it's also important to learn what you're doing.
Yeah. Be properly developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as my channel opened even more, then the Galactic Federation of Light came through. I've also channeled the members of the Galactic Federation. I also have important historical figures come through. So I have channeled people like Marilyn Monroe, MLK, George Floyd. He had a lot of messages after he passed that he wanted to get out to the world. Tyree Nichols. I have had JFK, Abraham Lincoln. It's just kind of whoever has a message for the world will come through. They always ask permission. I don't let anyone come in if they haven't asked to. I have strong parameters now.
Yeah.
But how do you say no to Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah. Or MLK.
Or MLK.
Yeah. I have so many questions. First, can you define what the Galactic Federation of Light is?
No. That is not first. Let's do it. Okay. A couple basic things. Was there any indication that your mom had intuitive abilities when she was living?
Yes.
What was her thing? What was daily life with mom?
She would, there were times where, she would see something. She wouldn't, so my mom was born in 1944. So she was in the generation that you didn't speak of these things. You didn't speak of family trauma. You didn't speak of your spiritual gifts. It was just, you didn't talk about all these things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I knew was because my dad told me.
Oh, wow.
Like she would tell him how my great grandma came to see her and, woke her up in the middle of the night, had her come to the living room, had a conversation with her. And then after that, and the room would get really cold.
Wow.
And then, because my dad would feel it, it was interesting because my dad was more open to talking about all of it and I could talk to him.
Yeah.
But I couldn't talk to my mom about it, even though she was the one having the gift. And so, obviously my mom would know when things were going to happen as well. And she had multiple things happen, which is actually reminding me of a few things. So when I was 15, I had a really good friend, and there was one day that I had a dream that I had gotten hit by a UPS truck and I died. And then within 2 weeks, my friend was in a car with her boyfriend and he hit a ditch and the car flipped over. She didn't have her seatbelt on and she fell out of the sunroof and the car rolled over on top of her. So it was as if she had gotten hit by a car.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was having dreams that my grandma passed away. She just wasn't there anymore. And within 2 weeks, my mom passed away from a massive heart attack and she just wasn't there anymore. So back in my teen years, I was having a lot of these premonitions that would come through dreams. And it would be someone close to the person that was going to pass. And then, so it was hard to be like, oh, so-and-so is going to pass. I kept telling my dad about how I kept having dreams about my grandma because I wouldn't tell my mom that her mom's going to die.
Right.
And then my mom passed.
Wow.
That's always the interesting thing with dreams I've found is that like you have to interpret the emotions of it rather than the actual visuals. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like you had a filter or something like over kind of like, the interpretation is so interesting.
Yeah.
So if the information could come in a way that it was safe for me to receive at that time, because if I was seeing like mom's going to die in 2 weeks, that wouldn't have felt safe in my system.
Right.
Right.
But,
yeah.
If grandma goes, it's not as much of an impact, even though it's a big impact. It wasn't as impactful as, my mom passing.
Yeah. It's like such a protective layer. When you were having the experiences as a kid, did you tell your parents about it or were you just like, I'm on my own? I can't tell anybody?
Most of the time I was on my own because, when you're seeing things that other people aren't seeing,
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, a lot of families tell kids, oh, that's just an imaginary friend or, oh, you have such a wild imagination and kind of start shutting them down. We're wide open until about age 7. Mm-hmm. And so if that is not continue to be fostered, that, what you are seeing is valid. So if you have kids that are expressing that they are seeing their deceased loved ones, I have a client whose daughter, she's now 6, but she was always talking about her grandpa and her grandma and her great grandma that she'd never met.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, so-and-so came to visit me, or our old dog that passed away came to see us. And I'm like, continue to foster that. Let her know that that's a real experience. It's not just something that she's making up.
Yeah.
Because she's got open gifts. And when we close them down, that doesn't serve anybody. We've come a long way in consciousness since, I was little, but
people are still doing it.
Yeah.
They are because they don't understand.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like organized religion is into like their violent death rattles here of their holding on to power as hard as they can. And so we have a little bit of, we have a reignition of some oppressive ideology that is starting to spread a little bit more than it used to, or at least in like a violent form of it, which is very odd.
That's part of, us ascending out of 3D into 5D. What doesn't serve us any longer, like organized religion, because it was a power structure to control people, that the energies of those lower vibrational frequencies that don't serve us. So organized religion was to show us that we were separated from God, that we had to have an intimate somebody in between.
Yeah.
Can't think of the word right now.
Like an intermediary.
Yes, that's it. And we didn't have a direct connection. But we are one. We're returning to oneness. And there is no separation. We are all source. We're all part of source. There's no separation. I am you, you are me. You're the tree, you're the ocean, you're everything. Just, so all of these energies that have had power over others is starting to fall. We're seeing this across the board. Look at how many governments have fallen in the last 3 weeks as Pluto entered Aquarius.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is, so back in 2021, it came through my channel that so the earth and human consciousness are both ascending at the same time. We're in the age of the Great Awakening. And so back then they were talking about how we were about to go into labor, birthing a new consciousness. And they used the birthing process as the metaphor. So, on the way to the hospital. Then, that was 2021. 2022, we were having contractions. 2023, we were starting to push. And then on the solar eclipse on April 8th, we made the final push. We had a flashpoint, a jump in timelines. And then now we're anchoring into the 5D consciousness. So it was kind of like a tower moment for 3D.
Okay.
If you have a question, go ahead.
I do. First of all, it's a boy. Second of all, okay.
Wait, it's not a boy. We're feminine. It's a feminine energy.
That's true.
The divine feminine is rising.
Try that again. Yeah. It's a girl. The future is female.
Okay. You correct.
Right, Renny?
Yes, the patriarchy is falling.
The patriarchy is falling. So I always like to think, couple things. I always like to think that like organized religion served a purpose at some point just for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And that we are just beyond that now. And now instead of like its organizational usefulness, now all we see is the borders that we need to transcend, which I used to be very angry about organized religion. And I still am, but I'm telling everybody, no, like that's part of it. You don't have to like rethink everything. You just have to like, hop over the fence now.
Yeah. I went through all of I went through so many different religions because, you look for that when you're going through the process. And then I realized, I don't need religion because I have that connection.
Right. Yeah.
And some people do need religion. Some people need a guidepost a way to move forward in life. But yes, we do transcend it. It's just, rules and regulations.
Right. Yeah. Religion is a gateway drug. Should probably use a different term. Gateway drug. Whatever. It's a gateway to bigger, better. So you've mentioned the term 5D a handful of times, and can I get your definition of what that is? You're talking about the movement from 3D to 5D. And to be fair, my first exposure to the term 5D was during COVID, when everyone was really huge into conspiracies and QAnon and all this stuff. So
all they kept talking about. It was always all what 5D. Are you talking about?
So it was all very wrapped up in this negative connotation, but I know it's got to be more than that. So I'd love your definition.
It definitely is more than that. I'm going to just give a quick definition of the 3D matrix. It is where there's power over others. This is like those systems and structures that have been put in place, like going through school and then getting a corporate position and, following the guidelines of what we're supposed to do by certain ages, all of that kind of stuff. Work your ass off until you can retire. And then if you have money, you can enjoy your life then. That kind of energy. 5D, I refer to as New Earth energy. So it's New Earth consciousness. And it is about oneness. It is about returning to our soul rather than, having the answers outside of ourselves is very 3D. Having all the answers within us is 5D. But there's also just this huge shift that we're going through where we're returning to love, compassion, kindness, dignity, respect, equality, equity. Now, this isn't all going to happen overnight, but that is where we're leading. And that's also why we're going through what we're going through right now, so that we can see the contrast. And 3D has a lot of duality. In 5D, there's not duality. There's no separation.
People are like fighting it so hard right now.
Because we've been so entrained in fear and, the fear of other. We're all souls having a human experience. There is no difference. And the only difference that has been perpetuated has been drilled into us by people who want to control.
Right. Yeah.
Because at our core, we're all souls. And we're at different frequencies, but we're all souls.
Yeah. You know what? First of all, I love that. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Sometimes like the thing that makes big transitions difficult for people is a lack of imagination. And what I mean by that is our entire societal structure is based on this 3D like hierarchy and
tangible
tiers. And yeah. So what does like a society based on 5D consciousness like resemble? And this is, again, maybe part of my lack of imagination. It's hard for me to imagine such a thing. It sounds great, though.
Yeah, because it's always been this way.
Yeah,
even you leaving your job even that has been hard to like mentally.
Our listeners are tired of hearing this, but
they are.
I'm not going to say it again because they can't do it again. I can't do this to you guys again. But yeah, your journey, similar journey here. I had to go.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It is very hard. But also like to be able to, finally just get to that place of surrender to the knowing that you've had in your soul and the nudges that you've been getting that you're not on the right path and that this bright little thing over here is the thing for you. And you just have to say yes to it.
Yeah.
Then I can guarantee that it's probably been really difficult as a human in a 3D world to make the jump into like 5D, like I can create my life. So that's another thing. In 5D, we are the creators. We are creating our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no other force that's creating it. It's us.
Right. Yeah, that is a thing I like to throw out to because I know we've spoken to a couple listeners lately who are in the middle of big transitions themselves.
Yeah.
And I will say, if people have heard not to make this about me, it's not about me, but I will say like a big realization I've had recently about the transition that I'm in the middle of, where like I feel like towards the end of, I feel like I'm getting there, is that your 3D life is likely hard and difficult and structured in a way that doesn't feel authentic. And the thing that keeps you from moving on to the next thing is that fear of the unknown, and which is also hard. It's going to be hard, but one is hard in a direction that you don't want to go in. And the other one is hard in a direction that's going to restart your life in a way that's more conscious and available to your directives and what you want.
Yeah.
So what I mean to say is take the leap, bros. Go for it. It's great.
Because seriously, if you stay where you've outgrown, just think okay, we're all adults. Could you imagine trying to put on infant clothing? It's not going to fit. It's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We have outgrown things, and we're always constantly in evolution.
Yeah.
And so you've always been okay, even when it didn't feel like it. And everything that's happened has happened for a reason. And it has happened for your highest good, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
It's all about growth.
We simultaneously, grow our souls. Like, we fight against it sometimes because it's so uncomfortable, because we're so used to the structure. We're so used to the one way.
Well, look, what 3D structure has provided at some point was a promise of safety. Mm-hmm. And it's, if like everyone take a second and look around, it was a lie the whole time. Or maybe at one point it wasn't, but it is now. Yeah. Like, what are you going to get taken care of into your older years, and you're going to have plenty of money it's not there. It's gone. I'm sorry. It sucks. And you are now responsible for what happens next. And that's a difficult transition to make. And it is scary. But unless you're like in the top 1% of like a people in America, as far as your earnings are concerned, you are not going to be taken care of, and you are the only person who's going to be able to take care of you. And I don't mean that in like a scary, like, fear mongering way. I mean it like you were always in control and you are now. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. What you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Just think about quitting your job. They replaced you right away.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you're not there anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Same
That's
thing
such
with
a
me.
hard
I
thing.
trained the person who took my place.
Yeah.
And I was perfectly fine with that. But also, like, not wishing anything bad on anyone. But if you got hit by a bus today, they'd have someone else in your position by like a week from now.
Yeah.
And like the another thing to let go of, maybe this is for the younger listeners, because maybe the older ones know it already, but the concept of like the meritocracy of like, you'll do hard work and someone will notice and like step up and say, it's not happening.
No.
It's not going to happen, because the person that you think is going to come and rescue you also is looking for the same thing. They're waiting for someone to recognize them and pull them out of the muck. It's not happening, dude.
So when we say like moving into a 5D like way of living, is that what you consider like ascending a little, or like an ascension or something?
Ascension is just, moving up. So we all have a level of, so we're all vibrational frequency. And, we're all somewhere else on the vibrational frequency scale. So, different frequencies do different things in healing. So, if you're listening to 444 hertz or 732 hertz or 1111 hertz, they're all different frequencies. Just like humans, we all are vibrational frequency. We have a level of light quotient. That's the amount of light that we hold within our system. Once you get past 51%, there's no going back. So humanity collectively has reached the 51%, and the Earth had already reached that 51%. So we're all going forward. Now, my soul was there the 2 times Atlantis fell. I was there in Lemuria. I have been there with Joan of Arc. I have been in ancient Egypt. I have done a lot of things throughout all of my lifetime. I volunteered to come and help in the ascension. My soul is here to uplevel human consciousness and help the Earth ascend. Not a big mission at all.
No big deal.
No big deal at all.
What?
So,
okay.
Back in 2021, I learned how to read and heal through the Akashic Records.
Okay.
And the very first message I got when I asked through the Akashic Records, what am I here? What is my mission here? And that is exactly what came through. I'm here to uplevel human consciousness and help the Earth ascend. And, now we're at the point where we're anchoring in that new Earth frequency where, I'm showing people that there's a way forward. as we return to our authentic soul, we are lighting the way. And as we live into that and we do our work, when we do our work, we're looking at, okay, what patterns, programming, conditioning am I holding that doesn't serve me?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say with abundance, a lot of people heard money is the root of all evil, or, we can't afford that because blah, 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 or, rich people are evil, or, they did something really bad to get that money. Whatever the things were that we were told, it's all a bunch of BS. Money is energy. It is a frequency. And we as humans decided to put a value on it.
Right.
We said, oh, let's print some paper and put a number on it. And then that was what we're going to use. Those are outdated, old energies, old belief systems that, money is the root of all evil. No, it's a tool. It's an amplifier. It helps you to create more. It helps you to help others in the world. It's not evil. It is a frequency, and we should all attune to it. Last week in my energetic rebirth program, I actually trans-channeled the consciousness of money and encoded everyone with the frequencies of money. And so that was really fun. And
that's cool.
It was just coming through.
Wait, is the concept of money, since people spend so much time thinking about it? I mean, when you spend a lot of time thinking about something, you kind of create a manifest a being.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Is money a being? I don't know how to put this.
It's an energy. So not all energy takes form. Mm-hmm. So if you just think of like radio waves, you can think of energy, the energy of money, as a frequency of energy that doesn't actually have a form.
That makes sense. I mean, especially because, like you said, people think about it so much. You put a lot of emphasis on it, whether it's negative energy, like you said, like people are like,
yeah,
oh, I don't even pay attention to it because money, like rich people suck, or money is evil, or all the things you said, or people are so desperate for it that it creates this. That's like, those are all like low frequency.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you ever acted like that in a relationship, the person that you were in relationship with ran the other direction because you were too clingy, too desperate.
Right.
And the same thing with money. Money doesn't want to come into that energy. If you're relaxed with money and know that money is going to show up, and you just have this energy of like, hey, come and play.
Yeah.
The energy of money is going to come to you in the form of currency or opportunities, because it's not always physical, tangible money. It could be like you get a trip to somewhere and you don't have to pay for it, or you get extra points on your hotel thing or whatever. There are ways abundance shows up in other ways in which money sends it to you. And when we tell money that so any request we put out to money has to answer. So please remove need or want. So never say I need money or I want money, because money has to respond to that by keeping you in the perpetual need or want of money.
Mm.
So delete it, delete it, delete it.
What can we say instead?
Money, please give me XYZ.
Speaking directly to money.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now, you were talking about the fear of things. So, a lot of times when we have a situation, we go into the worst case scenario and we play out all of the ways that the thing can go wrong, or we're so focused on the problem that we create a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of
I've done that
focusing on the problem, focus on the solution.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because when you focus on the solution, the opportunities for possibility of the solution open up. But if you're like problem, all you see is the problem and you can't see any of the opportunities for the solution.
Yes.
So if you just do a quick mindset shift there, the solutions open up. And this works for everything.
Frank is staring directly into my soul right now because I have done some healing this year.
Oh, shout.
However, that is great advice because I have a history of like immediately thinking of the problem of whatever it is. And Frank's always like, why do you're not being solution based? You're just thinking of why something wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And apparently this is something that was necessary to be heard today because they brought it through.
Yes.
And there's another piece of this is that we give meaning to things.
I'm sorry.
So
are you doing like a trans state right now, or is this just always?
I'm always channeling, so this is information that's coming through.
Got it.
Okay, great.
I'm not trans channeling at the moment.
Okay,
yeah.
You would know if I were. Okay. Channeling, they're giving me information. I'm relaying it.
Okay.
When I trans channel, I allow them to speak through me.
Got it. Okay.
But right now, you're just like receiving some kind of information.
I'm receiving information
I need to hear.
Or, the listeners may need to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So, the piece was around giving meaning to things. If you make things a big deal, they are a big deal. But it's just energy. So, you give meaning to it and it creates the meaning. Mm-hmm. If you neutralize the meaning, then the energetic charge becomes neutral. Okay. So let's say you got into a big fight with your best friend and you're like, oh, they were wrong and blah, blah, blah. And you're making a big deal out of it. But if you just come to it and saying, okay, well, we had an argument and I'm just going to be neutral about it. That energetic charge where you got so mad about it, you wouldn't be able to attune back to that frequency because you've already said, okay, I'm going to be neutral here. And then you can see the solutions of how to go about things going forward. Or, you've been stuck on something in your energy forever.
This is very similar to what Isley Hallows was talking about when she was talking about like reprogramming events, but not the event itself, but the emotional charge to the event.
Yeah.
Where you can...
Neville Goddard is the one. Yeah. Neville Goddard had the concept of being able to go back. He had an experiment. I can't remember if it was Neville himself or it was somebody else. They had physically broken their leg, went to the doctor, got an x-ray, confirmed that was a broken leg, x-rayed, got the cast, went into the memory of the event and said that the leg was completely healed. There was never a break in the first place. Went back to the doctor a week later. There was no break, no indication that leg had ever been broken.
What?
Okay, so this is where there's been some, I don't want to say dispute on our show, but like we've always talked about being able to reprogram your own emotions, like you're in control of your emotions, but using it to redraft the past must be where you use the term quantum healing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this where quantum healing comes into play?
It is a concept of quantum healing. So, QHHP, quantum healing hypnosis technique, and then beyond quantum healing, BQH, they're both formal modalities of quantum healing. I have gotten certified in both. And then also I just work in the quantum. That's where my energy works. You can go into hypnosis and you can find out all the answers that your soul wants you to know. And you can release the charge of the emotions that you've been holding. So let's say that, you always had these hard feelings with your dad because of things that happened as a kid. And you go back into hypnosis and find out the reason why that event happened. and then the team can come in and do a healing and release those emotions around that event. You can also do it without being in hypnosis because we have ascended so far in consciousness that we can access that now.
So when you say team comes in and does healing, like a spirit team, or what do you mean?
So we all have spirit teams. We all have healing teams. And a lot of us have galactic teams. And so this would be your healing team that came through to do the healing. A lot of times in BQH, you can ask to do a body scan, and the highest self of the person comes through and starts doing a complete scan of the body, starting at the top of the head, working all the way down to the bottoms of the feet.
That sounds similar to like your Reiki stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your Reiki stuff.
My Reiki stuff.
But they can see like what's going on, and then they can bring healing to it. Like, oh, your eyesight's not 100%. Let's clear the energies that have created your eyesight not being 100%. Or your liver's not functioning 100%. So let's clear out the toxins that are in the liver. And, it does work.
Wow.
Okay. So spirit team, healing team, and galactic team. So I guess it's time for your question, Lauren.
Let's get to the Galactic Federation.
Thank you for listening. Visit www.clairvoyaging.com for show notes, merch, or just to say hi. If you'd like to support our journey, visit www.buymeacoffee.com/clairvoyaging. This has been a production of Wayfeather Media.